Hi, I'm Rashid Ogunlaru, coach, speaker and author, and I'm delighted to be here with you for the latest Soul Trader webinar. Call it webinar, call it a talk, call it a motivational session, however you want to really see it. I'm really excited about today's session because today we're talking about focus and flow, because they're two really important elements of ways of being to help us achieve things. Because we're going to need to be focused in business, aren't we? And we need to be focused, we need to know where we're going, we've got to have a plan, we've got to have a strategy, we've got to know what it is that we're trying to achieve. But we also need to be fluid because life doesn't always turn out how we want it to be, and we've got to be able to go with the flow. We've got to be able to trust these other things like intuition, creativity, and instinct that don't have that element. So there's the focus, the structure, being organised and all the rest of it. And then there's the flow. The flow is far more creative. It has a completely different energy to it. So that's what we're going to be covering today. So in order to get the best out of today, I'm going to invite you to pause if you want to. It might be very useful for you you might want to get notebook and pen. You might want to get your laptop or your computer so you can write things down. Whatever it is that works for you. You might want to get your diary so that you're able to plan. Or it might be that you're the kind of person who just wants to soak things up and lie down or sit down comfortably and really relax into the content. Whichever works for you, you're very, very welcome to. But I just want to prompt you with one thing. If you're somebody who is quite organised and very methodical, then really do absorb in the elements of this talk today, this session, this webinar today that invites you to the more creative, the more fluid, the more intuitive, because that will enhance the hand that you have. And likewise, if you're somebody who's quite creative, then do embrace the bits today that are going to be far more focused and organised, because they're going to be able to help you to move forward. I just want to put this really in context for you. So I've got some contacts who I know who've recently been going through the various stages of building their business, and some clients. One of my best friends is setting up a product business, which has required both focus and fluidity. Focus in terms of, okay, what's the product? How are we going to get the products organised? Structuring, setting up his business for the first time, getting all the ingredients, everything else aligned and so on. But also the fluidity, the creativity and the flow of going out there, connecting with people, meeting people, learning stuff, trusting the intuition. It's part of the design and creative process. So both qualities are being necessary. Let's start off though with looking at focus. Focus is so important because, first of all, I'm going to invite you to step back and ask yourself, who are you? Where are you at? What's going on in your life right now? Focus on that. Who are you? Why are you here? Why are you in business? Why are you thinking about being your own boss? What's going on for you right now in your life? What's going on right now in your business? Where are you at? So let's home in on that. So we're just shifting our focus. And I'll invite you to maybe write that down. So you might, okay, here's where I am, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is where I am right now. So we're just zooming in on that. Do you have a strategy? Have you got a written strategy? If you don't, I'm really going to encourage you to have a written strategy. If you go to soultrader.biz, then you'll find that there's lots of free stuff, and you can get a copy of the free 2-page business plan that I'm holding here, which you can just download. So if you go to soultrader.biz, and if you go to the free content page, and if you just put in your email address, there's all sorts of free content, including the 2-page business plan. And what this will allow you to do is just to structure and set out your clear goals. Okay, this is the mission, these are the services, these are the goals. So I've just set that as a task for a contact of mine who's just setting up a consultancy business, because focus is going to be absolutely key for her. who are the clients that she's going to be working with, what are their financial goals. She's at a point where she's going to need to have a chat with an accountant. She's got an accountant, but really just she's deciding what business structure to set up. Is she going to set up as a private company? Is she going to work, first of all, being self-employed? She needs to get terms and conditions in place, and we were talking in our last coaching session just a couple of days ago about her and the insurance that she needs to make sure that everything is compliant. So the compliance, the organised, the strategy, all of these things are elements of focus. Might be for you the case that you've been in business for a long period of time, but there might be other things that now really need to be focused on for you. I was working with not long ago another contact of mine who's been in business for many years, and actually the thing that we were looking at for her is we looked at her website, and actually her website really needs to be reviewed, and it really could be nicely improved actually. So for her, that's one of the things that she's going to be focusing on. But what is it that you need to focus on? I want to bring one other point to bear in terms of this stuff about focus. So we've talked a bit about the plan, the strategy. Okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Here's my mission. This is who I am. Here are my goals. Setting yourself clear goals that you're focused on. But I want you to also be mindful about, is there perhaps one thing that really needs to be focused on? So when we started, I prompted you by thinking, okay, what's going on in your life? And then what's going on in your business right now, so that you could think, okay, there's this going on, there's that, there's this, there's that, to bring that into focus. But there'll be moments where, of course, focus will require just one point of focus. I can think of a contact of mine who I know is a very, very talented artist. They are quite celebrated in many ways, but there are two things that they really need to focus on now. One is the money, the finance, boosting that, and the second is the marketing in order to boost that finance. They enjoy some of the other things about the work they enjoy. They love the creative process, and actually they really, really enjoy a lot of the administrative process. But the focus needs to be on the money in order to make the business sustainable. And I think this is very classically the case that can emerge for many, many sole traders, that we might enjoy the flow bit, the flow bits, the creative bits, but what about the focus? The focus. Here's what I need to do. Here's how much money I need to make. Here's how much money I need to pay for this. Here's what I need to make to live on. Here's my goals of what I'm wanting to achieve over the next few years. Given my experience, I'm now wanting to achieve that. Because then you can begin to focus on, okay, what are the activities that I need to do? Okay, what kind of events do I need to go to? What kind of networking do I need to do? What other kind of marketing do I need to do? Where precisely can I meet my potential contacts or potential clients or customers or related industries or people who might well be in my field who might need me? Because when you focus, then you can focus. Remember, the mind needs focus. There are two things going on at the same time. I say this in my talks. The talk for your head and for your heart. The head wants focus. The head's job is to plan, to prepare, to work things out and to keep you safe as best it can. But for that, it needs coordinates. It needs a destination. And then it can think, okay, if this is where you're going to, okay, here are the steps to get there. And then you can plan step by step. So that's focus. So, just to pause on that, and just to review on that, where you're at personally, what's going on for you in your life, because it might be the case that there's also some personal things that need to be prioritised. It might be things about your health, your well-being, there might be things going on in your family life or socially. Or you might be about to move, all sorts of things might be going on for you. What are those points of focus? Then we talked about your business. Do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a goal? Have you got a sense of where it is that you're going to? And then within that, are there specific things that you really need to be focusing on right now? If, as in the case of the person that I was talking about before, that you're in a particular point where there are some major things going on, or major shifts, it might well be the case that you've been in business for some time, a major client's changing, or they're selling up, or they're no longer doing business, or what have you, you suddenly need to focus. It might well be just one thing might be that you need to focus on. So I'd really encourage you to think about that. If there was just one thing for you to focus on personally, and in terms of business, over the next quarter, or perhaps even over the rest of the year, what would that be? Okay, so that's focus. Let's breathe out. Now let's move on to flow. So, flow has a completely different vibe. Just completely different vibe, doesn't it? Flow is, it's about stepping back. Focus is about that, isn't it? It's about, really zooming in. Focus is far more about just going with the flow. I want to invite you to think, what does the word flow mean to you? It's about flexibility, fluidity, creativity, instincts, intuition, inner wisdom. It's about being relaxed. It's about being flexible. All these are some of the many things that flow indicates. The beautiful thing about flow is that flow invites you to think about, well, where is the source, what is the current, and where is the flow heading to? We can be spending a lot of time in life focused on our own streams of what we're trying to do, and then forget about the flow of life, the ocean of life. It might be our own individual river, but where's the sea? The beauty of flow is that flow is an invitation for you to connect to the whole. What can happen a lot of the time in business is that I'm so keen to get my particular business, my product off the ground, and I'm so excited about this thing that I'm doing, I forget about what my customers want, what my industry wants. So many times when I've coached people, they've said, oh yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that. I can think of a wonderful contact of mine who is setting up a business that I think there will be a huge amount of potential from. She's warm, she's authentic, she's really wanting to help people enhance their lives. And we've been talking a lot about her at the moment. At the moment, we're looking at the product offering that she's going to be providing, and we're talking a little bit about the marketing, and particularly a bit about getting the marketing materials right, including websites and so on. But as we talked through it, as with so many entrepreneurs, I can think of so many entrepreneurs who I've coached where this is the case. The wording initially on the website is all the things that I'm wanting to say to my client. Well, what is it the customer is wanting from you? So this thing about flow is going to allow us to sometimes intuitively connect with, well, what might my customer want? What's going on for them? But flow also has all sorts of other different elements to it. Flow might be the space in which you suddenly are inspired. You think, hang on a minute, this might be really useful. Or why don't I do that? Or why don't I do that? Flow is also beautifully useful for me. I think flow is really, really useful in terms of the actual creative process. Because with flow, how I operate with flow is that I'm mindful of, okay, this is the things I'm wanting to achieve that may have come through from focus. So I want to achieve this, 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 and this, and this. But flow means that I can just sit back and then all of a sudden an idea strikes me. So one first tip around flow is if there are times where you're feeling a little bit stuck and you know that there are certain things that you're trying to achieve, first of all, just pause and step back. It might be that shifting your attention from the thing that you were focusing on where you're feeling a little bit stuck, perhaps to something completely different or to another issue might be really, really useful. So today it was interesting. I was focused on recording initially this webinar for you, and then somebody arrived to return some materials. And it meant that I had to pause, focus, and then refocus. And whilst they were just dropping off some bits and pieces, what I then did was turn my attention to another task that needs to be done at some point. That actually it was a wonderful win that I started to do this, because I might not have had that energy to do that. So this is the beautiful thing about flow. So the key thing about flow is noticing, well, where is the flow going? Where is my energy at right now? Do I have the energy to do what I'm doing right now, what I'm trying to focus on? If so, then that's absolutely great. Go with that flow. But if you're finding that that's not where the flow is, perhaps it would be far better to let go and to trust that flow. This is really, 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 really important, because often when people talk to me and they say, Rashid, I'm really struggling, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I can't get round to it, or I procrastinate a lot. A lot of this is that because we're not listening to ourselves. Where's your energy at? Would it be better that you took a day off? How many times have you had days, perhaps, where you've been running your own business and you may have, let's say, had a very, very fruitful hour or two, and then you for whatever reason, you've lost that kind of that quality of attention, and then you're trying to do this and that, but you sit behind a computer perhaps for hours, or you're struggling on a piece of work for a really long time. Whereas perhaps by stepping back, taking a break, doing something different, going with the flow, trusting your instinct, focusing on your own well-being, perhaps making a couple of calls, doing something different, would shift the flow and reconnect you to yourself. So there are a number of different qualitative things here to the flow. Are you resisting the flow? What's going on in your industry? Are you aware of it? What's going on for your customers? It's really, really interesting that when I, at some points in my business, my focus has been, okay, here's the kind of work that I'm wanting to be doing, or here's what I want to work next. But what's happened a number of times in my career is that the industry, or where there is a need for my skills, has emerged, and all sorts of work has emerged as a result of that. So I'd never, for example, intended consciously to be doing a lot of work in the healthcare sector, working with lots of people in the National Health Service. I wasn't part of my intention, but that was where part of the need was, actually doing a lot of the work. And those people who know me know that a lot of my work is around working with teachers, leaders, and healers. And ironically, I'm working with many leaders as well as lots of healers, people who are teachers in the NHS. I never consciously thought about that. So, of course, we need to have our idea of what we're wanting to do, but that openness of where the need for our product is. Because let's face it, if I'm creating pencils and I'm trying to sell them, A, do people want pencils? B, am I trying to push these pencils in a world of pen lovers? And then where is the need for the actual pencils? And sometimes only by being really, really open do you really discover that. So I really want to invite you now just to pause and just to reflect. I just want to invite you, I just want to just prompt you with this question. What in life do you need to be more relaxed about? What in business do you need to be a bit more relaxed about? Are there some things that need letting go of? Maybe you're worrying about this. Maybe you're worried about that. Maybe there's a deadline for something that you're getting caught up in. Is it a fixed deadline, or is it a creative deadline? Are there creative or intuitive things that are emerging for you that you're wanting to do, that are important for you? Could you also be at a point where, if you're focused, if you know what your focus is, that you could then hand over the actual process of creating to flow? Here's what I'm saying here then. We've talked about focus and the importance for the mind of knowing, this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to do, here are my goals, here are the strategy, here are the key steps, and here's what I need to focus on, and here's the amount of money I need to make, and here's when I need to do X, Y, and Z. So we've taken care of that focus bit. We're clear. The mind's clear. And we've got a plan. But the plan sits within the context of the world itself. So there are other factors, other suppliers, other people in the industry, the customers, all sorts of things. The economy might change, all sorts of things that are going on in the ocean of life. We're now becoming more in tune to yourself, your skills, how you work best, how you flow best. And you're now inviting the flow of life in. And you're allowing yourself to begin to work intuitively. How am I feeling right now? What feels as though it's wanting to emerge right now? This is the space of the soul trader. This is the invitation of the soul trader. To trust the heart. So you arrive at a place that bridges focus and flow. You're very clear on who you are. You're very clear on the nature of your life's work. And you are very open. You become attuned. Suddenly there's space. Suddenly you feel more relaxed. Have you noticed the quality of this webinar has changed? It's shifted. Now that you're deeper into it, you may be less concerned about time, this, that, and you're now deeply sat with this. This quality often takes you to a deeper, richer connection to who you are and what you're about. And you're able to operate from that heart space of loving who you are, loving what you do, and loving those that you serve. From there it means that when you show up, when your product shows up, people know that you, your service, your product is coming from a place of authenticity. You go with the flow, you listen, you're attuned, you're listening to them. Suddenly opportunities emerge. Just yesterday I was with a contact and he was talking about working on a piece of work and saying how one of the things he's learned, it's really important to listen to the people who wanted that particular, him potentially to do this particular piece of work. I mean, he knew that there were two people involved with different personalities, but it's really important to reflect back when being asked to pitch something, what it is that they wanted. And he was just mentioning how somebody else wasn't as conscious of that, hadn't put in their words. And this is so true, because it's possible otherwise to be so caught up in your perception of life and the world and everything else that you lose touch with the fact that your business, your service, is there to serve somebody else. So actually, stepping back is essential. It then becomes a dance. You're clear on who you are, your customers are clear who you are, you're authentically, genuinely interested in them, and therefore you fashion your products, your service, around what it is that they actually genuinely need. I think that links us back to that shift in some of the work that I've done, where I talked about how I'd never intended to do work with this particular group. Many years ago, actually, in my career, something similar, when there was a big, what they call the credit crunch, the beginning of recession here in the United Kingdom, quite a long time ago now. I was asked by a contact of mine who knew I was a coach, said, actually I work for this outplacement agency that works for many people, for organisations, big private firms who they've unfortunately needed to lay staff off. I know you're a coach, would you be interested to come in and do some work for us? So I did. I went in and I used to do a number of workshops, business startup workshop and some other workshops, ones around networking and other skills. So by me being open and by me being in that ocean of what was going on, these opportunities emerged. So your strategy may need to come from a place of focus, but there may be something that precedes that in terms of you being in tune with your own flow. And from that space, these things become very rounded. Okay, this is who I am. This is where I am in my life. This is where I'm trying to go. But this is the flow of life. And then you're able to switch from the different qualities as required The times when you need to be very, very focused. Okay, I've got this meeting. Okay, this particular piece of work needs to be submitted by the end of today. Okay, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. You're able to get into focus mode. And when you need to be more fluid, when things have changed, when you notice a change, you're able to be more flexible. So, I am going to invite you to pause, to perhaps write down, this is a point of focus, what based on this talk are perhaps the 2 or 3 things that you're wanting to address. I would encourage that you do not have a long list. I want you to have a focus list. Try and be specific. The mind will love it if you're specific. You might think, okay, right. My goal is to increase my the turnover of the business by, I don't know, $20,000, £20,000, whatever it is, by this time next year. My focus is to do this. My focus is to put this in place or to have this new product range in place by blah, 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 blah. Perhaps 2 or 3 things. What's your personal focus? Okay, I'm wanting to address this or that. My tip, as I say, is about 3 things maximum. Or it might be just 1 thing for your life, for your business. Trust it and see where you go with it. I think that's a moment in which I'm going to pause. If you like, that might be something you're wanting to really pick up on once this ends and focus on that. But it might also be that you want to come from this far more fluid space, where you want to kind of sit with that and meditate on that. And just to have those goals bubbling around in the back of your mind, to let the creative energy in, the creative way of addressing that in. Okay. Remember that there's lots of tools on soultrader.biz to help you. If you're interested in the book, if you haven't got a copy of the book, or if you've got the book and you need to return to it to help you focus or to help you flow, remember there's lots of there in it. If you haven't got Soul Trader, on soultrader.biz you can download chapter 1, which will really help you focus a lot. It will also help you connect to yourself quite a lot. And there's all sorts of other resources and inspiring interviews and so on the soultrader.biz website too that will help you connect to you. So, from me, Rashid, wishing you all the best. Take good care. Bye-bye.